Sam, you're literally Frodo right now.
He's the hero
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Gollum's Gamers podcast, where today I am joined by Mr. Ashley Walker here, the ginger one.
Hi, guys.
We are going to be breaking down today all of the best armies from the evil side of the new Armies of the Lord of the Rings rulebook. Now, we've already done the good side of the Armies of the Lord of the Rings book, so do go and check that out if you haven't seen it already. But if you're wondering what lists are looking good in the new edition, what armies should you be looking out for on the other side of the table? Well, that's exactly what we are going to be discussing here today. Ashley Walker, did you have a point there?
I did, yeah. We're not including anything from the Rise of Angmar extra, like PDF thing.
Indeed, yes.
Just so
the additional.
I haven't had time to read through all of those as well as all the evil lists.
Yeah,
I didn't know. I'm assuming Arnold wasn't in the good side that you did.
No,
and that's probably one of the best lists.
Yeah,
so
I think maybe
the ones from the book.
Yeah, I think maybe when the Armies book comes out, maybe we'll include those in that. And I guess at that point we'll have had a certain amount of time actually.
Yeah,
in the new edition to talk about those as well. So
yeah, probably 6 months time when we actually know, because it's all like theory hammer right now. Whereas when it becomes, you got some more examples of what's actually been good. We can do like a overall what's kind of good now in the new edition.
Can revisit, for sure. I would hope it's not 6 months until the Armies of Middle Earth book, but who knows?
I don't know.
I hope it's 3.
Do you have any sources on the inside that you haven't told us about? You don't know yet.
If anyone knows, then let us know, because I'm in the dark here. I'm sure there's some people out there. But yes, as Ashley was saying, sort of at this point, as the new editions literally just come out, a fair amount of all of this is just kind of speculation, as the community as a whole has had such little time to kind of test all these lists out and see how they're all performing. So with all of that out of the way, as always, you can find us on Instagram and Spotify by following the links in the description down below. And if you do enjoy all of the MESBG content that we do make here on our YouTube channel, please do remember to subscribe. So kicking things off here with our first list, which is the Black Gate. Now, it's worth mentioning that Ash and I have both picked our own top 5 lists, of which evil lists we think are the best from the new Lord of the Rings book, but we haven't ranked them in order or anything. So the Black Gate here, for example, is in my top 5 list, but not in Ash's. So some of the key takeaways from the list. So the first thing is that all of the orcs, so heroes and the troops, gain +1 to wound when you outnumber your opponent. So obviously it's good against other troops, but let's say you've got a mounted hero that charges into 2 of your troops. Well, then if they say fluff the roll and they're debating on whether they spend might or not, obviously they've got to know that the 2 orcs they charge would be +1 to wound. So that's quite a big buff there. You get the 1 extra might, will, and fate, and also fearless on your Mordor Troll Chieftain, who is your general. That's nothing new to the Blackgate Legendary Legion from the previous edition, so that's the same.
There's probably a good place to add as well that the Mordor Troll Chieftain has gotten better.
A lot better.
I'm just trying to flick through the book to find
We'll come to that, but yeah, he is nice. He's looking good.
And not just that, but also monsters in general. Way better.
Looking spicy. So there's another special rule. So you are able to move an enemy model once per turn at the start of the move phase if they fail an intelligence test. So every turn in the move phase, you can say, I want that model to do an intelligence test. If they fail, you can move them their full move distance. So that's pretty nice. To have happen every turn. And then you can also have double monster if you do decide to take a ring wraith. So the ring wraith comes on Fell Beast automatically. So if you do opt for the Fell Beast, he's 170 points or something, so he's not cheap. But you can have the Mordor Troll Chieftain and the ring wraith on Fell Beast, and the Fell Beast have kind of been improved a bit as well. So 2 hurls and barges and everything. So double monster is pretty nice as well. So where did you want to go first with this one, Ash? Actually, obviously this was in my top 5 and not yours. But did you want to touch on the chieftain to begin with, or?
I do think this is a really good list. I mean, I don't know why I didn't have it in the top 5 really, because it's quite similar.
He loves his Harad.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
I do think, again, it's just a lack of play testing. I don't know how good the new trolls are actually going to be. So
they might
a massive buff for the troll chieftain is now that it's fight 8. So that's pretty criminal. So it's fight 8. Strength 7, defense 8. It's still got 3 attacks. It's also gone up to 4 wounds instead of 3.
Yeah.
It's
It's like the
courage
good
and
and bad troll.
intelligence of both 6 plus.
Yeah.
Obviously still causes terror, but it's a massive dominant 4 too. So
4 is crazy.
I'm just scrolling in the old rulebook just because I know it's gone up a little bit in points.
Yeah, it's 150 now. I think was it
Yeah.
140?
So it's 150 now. It was 140 previously.
140. But obviously you go to fight 8, and obviously with the change to heroic strike as well, fight 8 is like we've hardly come across anything so far that's really above fight 7.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, the Elven Lords got the bump to fight 8, didn't they? So sorry, they got that.
It's the fact that being fight 8 means that very few other heroes, especially striking at only D3 extra fight value, are going to be able to match him.
Yeah.
Also, intelligence 6 plus is pretty good for a troll.
Yeah.
You know, you think they're quite stupid. Like, for example, the Mordor troll is intelligence 8 plus. So when you do want to use this new super hurl, or I don't know, pick up a objective or whatever, the chieftain trying to get a 6 plus on 2 dice is kind of likely. Yeah, giving him that extra wound as well is really tasty. And then pairing him with the Blackgate Legion, where you then give him an extra heroic stat, Might Will Fate.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to. I think maybe the reason I didn't put it in my top 5 is because I'm thinking of a Blackgate currently, and it's like, just transfix the troll and then murder it. But like, that's now going to be way, way, way harder. Maybe not the transfix, because obviously it doesn't have resistant magic or anything, and it's only got 2 will, so you could still transfix it, but transfix has become a lot less sort of super good. Like, you know, a very far fewer cheeky 3 plus transfixes all over the place.
I think as well, like, there's just going to be less magic around. I think less people are like, there's not going to be 22 Witch Kings at a GWH 100 by the seams of things. So if you're less likely to just run into things that can say you're not doing anything for the whole game, then obviously it is most likely going to be the first target when you do run into magic. But obviously if you do take the Fell Beast, then you've got some play there to try and slow it down.
And also you've also got the Mathasaurn, who still does have 4 will, and although transfix has gone up to a 4 plus, I mean, you basically have 2 transfixes to use.
On him.
This Troll Chieftain, again, also obviously massively benefits from the striking spear supports, new rule that monsters have got. I think it's fun. I definitely think that the Black Gate opens. Well, it's not Black Gate opens, it's just the Black Gate now.
The Black Gate
is going to be really good fun. And I can see why it's in top 5, especially as you can spam out the Morannon Orcs, get the +1 to wound. They also go up to fight 4 if they're fighting men, which is quite a good.
And it's going to be a theme that we see, is that, like, if you can take Morannons, I mean, you know, there's going to be lots of men by the looks of things in lists, and, you know, good lists do seem really quite good. Like, we're going to move into a more good oriented meta potentially, and like lots of Rohan, also the new edition, and, you know, Minas Tirith looking good, and these really big lists like the Men of the West and Defense of the Pelennor, lots of Minas Tirith troops and heroes in that. So just having Morannons be good and you got to fight 4 is a really good spot for them to be in, you know, being D6 as well. So
I think so. Yeah, I just think the fight 8 is massive. Like, trying to get to fight 8 with your fight 5 hero is really difficult.
It's hard. And obviously,
even if you got fight 6, you know, it's still difficult to beat it.
Yeah. And if you do face magic as well, obviously in the previous Blackgate list, you only had the mouth as your magic, but now you've got a ring wraith. So you can try and slow down the other casters.
I think that would be at far, far higher points, though, because it has to come with a Fell Beast.
I do wonder how many. I haven't actually looked at the list, but you have to take the Mouth and the Troll Chief. You don't have to take a Captain, which is an option in the list, because the Mouth does have March still. So you don't. So I just wonder: Mouth, Troll Chief, Ring Wraith on Fell Beast, max warbands.
That's an interesting little change, isn't it? Because I thought the Malthasaurn had to be the leader in the last one.
No, so the Troll Chief has to be the leader now. So that is, I guess, worse.
Yeah, no, that's what I meant. In the last one, it was the other way around, wasn't it? I thought.
Yeah. So he has to be the leader, which isn't great. But, you know, you've got the Ring Wraith there to try and sort of save him potentially. And the extra wound at D8 is also really big as well.
Also having a cheeky little Spectre every single turn is pretty
Every
cool.
turn is nice, especially when you've got a ring wraith as well. It's like, oh, I was thinking of compelling this model so that I could hurl, but now I can just potentially move it for free in the move phase. Like that's really nice. The ring race did lose March though in this edition, which obviously,
Well, that's kind of what I was thinking, just looking at the list now. If you add if you just add a regular Mordor troll and give it a war drum,
I did
that
think about that.
affects
I looked at
all
that.
of Mordor. So obviously that will affect that will affect the troll chieftain. So if you can maybe at higher points you've got the troll chieftain and the troll with a drum bombing around at 9 inches, that's
Yeah.
gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, I do just wonder like how many troops you'd get maxed out. Like the heroes are pretty solid. I think they do enough.
You would have never personally. I think you take the troll chieftain, then the Mouth of Sauron, obviously.
Yeah.
And then that probably takes you up to like 500, 600 points.
Yeah.
32 models because they're both Valor. And then I don't know if I'd think about slapping in a Mordor troll with a war drum. Like you'd never do that in the previous edition because trolls were just rubbish. But now all the sort of monster buffs that they've got, and then being fight 7, and the drum. I also think this is something fun to touch upon. I also think that the way that the new drum works is actually better than it was previously.
Yeah.
So for the viewers that don't know, a war drum now is basically the same as a heroic march, except its range is 12 inches.
Yeah.
So whereas before, if you sounded the drum, everything within 12 inches was affected. So it was kind of like an on or off type action, or you had to have your drum at the very, very back of the board so that it's 12 inches only affected like spears, pots, or things that you wanted to do. Whereas now, you just keep your drum with your army, you drum almost every single turn, and you just charge the things you want to charge, then activate the drum.
Yeah.
Then the march takes place and everything else
can kind of keep it in a more advantageous position, essentially.
So sure, in this version, it's slightly worse because obviously if you're drumming every turn with your thrall, you can't charge.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about more like just general drum play in the new edition. You just drum every single turn, and then you move all around and you're like, oh, actually don't want to drum don't want to march everywhere. Oh, never mind. My war drum can just still go wherever it wants because it's when it activates, the ability takes place.
Yeah. That's nice.
So I just think drums have gotten better as well.
Yeah.
So, no, fun pick.
I guess final thing just to mention this one is that to the ring wraiths, obviously the Witch King as well, feeling the pain here with the black darts being reduced to 6 inches. Obviously, maybe not the biggest issue for this list, but like I guess a good thing about taking a wraith previously would be, you can black dart a leader or something valuable. And obviously now with the 6 inch, I mean, obviously you've got the Fell Beast, so that sort of makes it maybe less worse, but you've still got to get close in range in order to do it. So that is kind of a negative as well. So, okay, I think that is going to do us for the Blackgate Opens list. Sorry, not Blackgate Opens, just the Blackgate. And
regular Blackgate.
We will move on to the Muster of Isengard, which was one of my top 5, not one of Ash's top 5, which is interesting here. But yes, I think this is a very good one. So the highlights here, I would say for this one. So the first thing is that all Uruk-hai heroes can march on turn 1 for free. So the only heroes that are Uruk-hai are captains, and they have march anyway. So, but yeah, sure, they can march for free on turn 1. Uruk-hai captains, so not the scout captains that are in the list as well, but just the Uruk-hai captains gain heroic strike, which is pretty cool. Fight 5 strikers, 2 might. That's nice. All Uruk-hai gain hatred man, so that's the troops and the heroes, which is super, super good. And then a change we'll see here that's a bit of a theme in some of the other Uruk-hai lists as well. But they now break at 66%, when it used to be that you broke as normal, but you used to take courage tests starting at 66%. But now you don't even break until that point, which is a super, super good change. So why was this one not in your top 5, Ashley? Did you have a
No, I didn't really. This was basically when I was writing out the list. I had, as you'll see earlier, spoiler viewers, sorry about this. I have the other Isengard list in my
which
top
we
5.
will be coming on to afterwards.
And that's simply because of the new special rules, and I thought they were really cool, so I just wanted to talk about them anyway.
Well, we'll talk about that next. So
again, I think this list is really, really strong. I was just double checking. Hatred is +1 to wound, isn't it? So
yes,
this is even this is like if you're fighting men, this is
Yeah.
very, very tasty. Getting +1 to wound everywhere. And I think, as Elliot said, Minister of getting quite a substantial buff, Rohan getting lots of new heroes.
Yeah.
Even if you play, Easterlings or the new
Yeah.
Dungeon stuff, all the
Yeah.
new stuff.
Oh no.
Oh, this list is,
Yeah.
hating on and getting +1 to win, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
I
So
think
like,
this thing you haven't mentioned
yeah, go on.
is that Grima is now way, way, way better as
Yes,
well.
I was hoping because I did have a little look of his rules, but I saw in the chat earlier you were talking to Vince about Grima. So could you give us the lowdown on Grima, exactly what the changes are? Why is he so good?
Yeah, I wonder if I can. I won't try and read through his whole profile,
No,
but effectively, Grima can now move through models,
I saw
which
that
is
bit, which I was like, okay.
pretty insane.
I didn't know if there was any
So
caveats to that or
the similar as usual. I've got his profile up now. So any enemy hero within 6 inches of Grima must spend 2 might points rather than 1 in
yep.
order to declare heroic action. Yeah, so in the previous edition, you're like, okay, that's a nice move. If you deploy him with me, I'll just put 3 models around Grima, 3-point trap him, and then he
Done.
can't escape.
Yeah.
That's fine. He can still deploy like that, so he can either deploy with your army or he can deploy with your opponent's army.
Yeah.
The main difference is that Grima may now ignore other enemy models' control zones, and he can move through enemy models as if they weren't there.
Yeah.
So when Grima moves this way, he cannot end his move overlapping or being in base contact with an enemy model. But the fact that he's just free to move through your troops is insane. So you now can't stop him from being where he wants to be.
Yeah.
And his ability to force the opponent to spend 2 might points is fantastic. But like again, as I said in the previous edition, you're like, who cares? 3-point trap.
Yeah, you are able to lock him down. I mean, the thing you could do is just keep him in on your side and then almost treat it like a master of battle where you try to keep him within range of enemy heroes. So that was still like a decent way to use him. Maybe use, pay the points for him still, but now he can just run around and you can basically put him wherever he wants. He's moving 6 inches every turn.
The one of the really fun things that I was talking to shout out to Dave Farmer about was you can now deploy Grima with an enemy or with your opponent's siege engine.
Yeah.
And now the way that siege engines are deployed exactly the same as in Destroy the Supplies. Grima just moves in first turn and destroys your opponent's siege engine.
It's gone.
If he does destroy a siege engine, he has revealed himself as an enemy, but you're trading 25 points of Grima for however many points the siege engine is.
It's not a bad trade.
And you can't stop that. The only way you can stop him from doing that is if you put probably like 8 models and just physically block the circumference of the siege engine.
Yeah, around it. Yeah.
But for 25 points, that's just awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But yeah, so Grima in this list, obviously getting way better.
Good as well. And then there's another. You can also take him in the Army of the White Hand that we're going to look at next as well, I believe.
Yeah, so shout out to Grima for being good.
Yeah. So Grima's.
I just think this list doesn't have because you have to take Saruman. He was a bit of a point sink last edition, and this edition he hasn't gotten any better as he's lost his reroll to cast.
The reroll is
I mean, he's still going to be good. Let me just get up his profile.
Like, he still has good casting. Like, he's got the 18-inch, which is nice. And he has a special rule where he can choose a hero at the start of the game and they will get -1 on all their resist tests, which is nice, unless they roll a natural 6. So that's a nice rule to have. You can pick their leader or, if they've only got one big threat, you just pick that one and then you can pick on them, at a higher success rate throughout
you
the game.
can totally bully them.
Sure, he's lost the reroll. There's no taking away, how many times have we talked on the pod about, Gandalf the Grey, like fluffing with no reroll, how he needs that to be more consistent. But he has gained a couple things. So he's got heroic defense now, which is nice. It's a nice addition for a leader. He's got some new spells as well. So he has Curse, Foil Magic, and Aura of Dismay compared to his previous profile. Obviously, not the strongest. Like curse is obviously to take away the fate point, or if dismay is now -1 courage to everyone within 6, and then foil magic is you can turn off exhaustion spells, which is one of the special rules. So like he's got some new spells in there, but like you kind of mentioned, a big point thing previously.
If you didn't have to take Saruman, really, really good list. But because you have to take him, I just think he's a bit of a point sink, like even more than he was last
like,
edition.
do the buffs sort of make up? I mean, like, one thing also to mention is that Uruk-hai in general have obviously gotten better. They've got the shield wall rule now, which is obviously super nice. And then one thing as well, I noticed that there's been a points like inflation across the game, like as a whole, really.
Yeah.
And Uruk-hai have not been subject to that.
True, but they also haven't.
They're the same points as they were previously. And obviously they maybe weren't the best point for point previously, but lots of other things have gone up. Like, Minas Tirith, obviously they've gained buffs as well, but like, they haven't gone up in points, and now they get Hatred Man in this list.
I think the Hatred Man is going to come up.
They're going to be pretty good.
If you were going to have a Hatred X special rule, Hatred Man's probably the best one.
And they're strength 4.
There are so many lists that are, are like men based. I just think
D6. You're winning them on 4s. Like, it's crazy.
I just think Saruman's too many points, and I don't know if I think you'd struggle to play this anything probably below 600, 700 points. Yeah. Because Grima's so fantastic, you would not take it. You're definitely not taking Saruman not on a horse. So by the time you've bought the epic combo, you've already spent 215 points.
Yeah.
And then
it's a lot.
Yeah. I mean, now the warriors are cool. Like, and I do think the shield will steam me because you see them at Helm's Deep, they're all sort of locked in, shielding together. But I think it's just slightly lacking.
Just imagine when you keep playing lists with men and you're D7 strength 4 +1 to wound, just absolutely killing everything. And also as well, you were mentioning about the points, like, you start paying the tax for all those things, and then also now you kind of want to take some berserkers as well. At least
the berserkers have become quite fun at being fight 5.
Fight 5, like they did lose the D6 to shooting though, but minor thing.
Yeah, being D5 to shooting isn't great. Definitely. Yeah, I just think it's just kind of meh. I mean, I just can't see how you're going to get 190 points out of Saruman. Comment down below if I'm an idiot and you think that Saruman in this edition is super epic.
Yeah, I just think the troops are pretty good. Like, the captain's getting strike, like you can compel stuff, and you've got 5/5 striking captains. It's pretty nice.
Sure, the striking captains is pretty good.
Yeah.
How many points are they?
Yeah, I think they went up slightly. Are they 65?
They're 65 points.
So that's actually. Can you take a shield with them, or is that with a shield?
I think they come now with a shield.
They come with a shield. 65 points, fight 5 striking, 3 marching on turn 1. So turn 1, you're moving pretty quick.
Yeah, you are running up the board. That's true. And you could, again, I think this sort of the real power of the Isengard list previously was having loads and loads of crossbows. But because you've sunk, again, 215 points into Saruman, you're not getting that maximum shooting benefit.
Yeah.
But
if you're going that route, you're going with one of the other
lists that I might have
which we will be talking about. But if you want to go run at everyone with a big horde of scary Uruk-hai and try and kill them and hope you play men, this is a pretty good list for that. This is a really good.
Yeah. I mean, I can see it doing well.
Yeah,
sure. But again, I think it's got to be at higher points. Because you really want to spam out the Uruk-hai, have a few berserkers, have a few crossbows.
Yeah.
And by the time you're doing that with, say, 2 captains, you're probably looking
2 captains,
700-800 points.
Yeah. But we could be seeing that sort of, and I mean, we did the good list episode previously. Like, we were sort of saying a similar thing, like, lots of these lists sort of in the higher points, maybe there's a move to, that average sort of tournament level being slightly higher.
Yeah, I have seen that discussed around the points levels sort of point creeping upwards.
Yeah, we're not sure how that's going to pan out,
but we'll have to see. Won't we?
Yeah, it's all speculation at this point, but it's good fun. So we shall move on from. We've looked at a couple of my top 5 favorite lists, but we're going to move on to a couple of Ashley's, the Army of the White Hand.
Keeping with the Army of the White, with the Saruman theme. Okay, so
yes,
this is where Saruman becomes really cool. and if I can find it in the book, I'll be
Can
able
I
to read
start by
through
just
it.
running through the key points I have
Yeah,
here, and then
go through your points that
I'll
you've
hand
written
over to you
down.
for your analysis.
Here we go. Okay.
So the main sort of bonuses here from the list. So you get +1 courage to friendly models that have line of sight to Saruman. That's pretty nice. So line of sight, +1 courage. Saruman can use one of 3 unique abilities once per game instead of casting. So he can use each one of the 3 only once per game, and he can't then cast that turn. So Ash will run through those 3 abilities, but they're pretty cool. Saruman can draw line of sight from Crebain. That's really cool. We know Crebain are mega mobile, so that's pretty cool.
Super maneuverable.
Obviously, as we discussed a moment ago, they have Grima. Grima's pretty cool. This list has Grima. And then also access to dominant 2 troops as well in the Wildmen. So you can take some of them in your list for the dominant 2. Obviously, dominant 2 we think could be really, really good if you have access to it. Like we said in the good list video, you should probably be looking to take that in your list. And obviously this list has access to it. So that's really good. But where did you want to start, actually? Why did this make it into your top 5?
Of course. So I think here they've all let me run through the special rules that Saruman gains in this list. So during his activation, Saruman can use one of the following abilities instead of casting a magical power. Each of these abilities can only be used once per game. So Conjure Lightning. Choose a point on the battlefield at least 12 inches away from any friendly model, with the exception of Grima. Each model within 2 inches of the chosen point suffers a Strength 6 hit. If a cavalry model is affected, both the rider and mount will suffer a Strength 6 hit.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty scary.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is Summon Gale. So until the end of the turn, enemy models half their move value.
That's pretty nice.
And then Call Thunder. Until the end of the turn, enemy models have the Fearful special rule. And Fearful is kind of like reverse terror. So if the model wants to charge, it has to take a terror test. Basically, if you remember ponies from the old edition, all of your army becomes a pony and has to take a courage test if it wants to charge. So I just think that what I was saying earlier around Saruman not being good value, well, here he is he's he is who he is, but he gets these extra super special rules, and that Strength 6 hit, hitting each enemy model within 2 inches of a chosen point, suffering a Strength 6 hit. That's pretty good, right? Until you use that, your opponent really, really has to spread out their army, and you kind of want to make sure that you use it. You're going to have to use it early on because you have to choose a point on the battlefield that's at least 12 inches away from any friendly model, which is going to be difficult.
Now, that is difficult. So unless it's a scenario where you're looking to hold on to it till late game, so something like Recon, where you can almost just leave enemy models to try and run off the board, say they've got a couple cav, and you go, oh, okay, anytime you try to go for it, I can, obviously they send 1 on each flank, then that kind of means you can only get rid of 1, but, it's something that, or if it's like destroyed supplies, and they're breaking, they're making a breakdown 1 flank for 1 supply, you can maybe just leave that because that Saruman has the spell in his pocket. So you can use it for those objective kind of scenarios, or like you say, you go for it early on before the lines are close.
So it's, the wording of it is during his activation. So the way I think it would probably be best to use this is you deploy, your opponent deploys. You have to still deploy within 6 inches of your army general.
Mm-hmm.
So, but that's pretty tight. If you then hope to win priority, if it's epic enough, you just use the Palantir first turn, immediately activate Saruman, and then just blast one of the guys. Blast one of the points where the people have deployed. And the 2-inch either side is pretty good. You could catch. Well, in ideal circumstances, you could catch like 10 guys. But you're probably catching 4 or 5. Just like deleting, because the Strength 6 hit's pretty good.
But there's a world you only kill like 2, and it's like, okay.
Yeah,
I'm not sure how.
I think 2 more models than Saruman would have killed it anyway.
I think it's probably like the most value you'd probably get is like winning a scenario like Recon or something. where you have it in the pocket and then
Yeah, or you
you make a big
just
play.
you just delete someone off an objective in
An objective
domination,
last.
or
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know all that sort of stuff. And then I think don't sleep on the other two abilities.
No.
Halving the move
I
value
think they're better
of every enemy model.
because there's no range.
That's really annoying.
That is crazy. You go last turn. Oh, you think you're in range of this
Yeah.
objective? Like, no, you're not.
No, you're not. Everyone moving 3 inches is
That's
crazy. And then
crazy, Cav.
it's same thing, right? Until the end, Cool Thunder, every enemy model having the fearful special
Has
rule.
to.
If you need to fight in hold ground, okay, last turn I'll just use my ability. Then you just can gang up 2v1 all the models in the middle because the other guys can't charge.
Yeah.
You're going to be really impacting your killing power.
Or it's those really like tight turns at the end of the game where you're trying to move models onto objectives, and maybe they've got the advantage. So now you call it, you've kept it, but now they've got to start testing with everything to try and get models, in to kill your models off
Yeah.
the objective. So can be super clutch. And it's just, battlefield wide on both of those, I think is really big. So I think those two are probably better, I think, than the Conjure Lightning. But they are all super, super good. Like, I'm not going to sleep on those. They look really good. I guess, what are your thoughts on the rest of the list? Because I was pretty underwhelmed with the makeup of the list.
Yeah, so you basically get
you're going all in on Saruman.
Yeah, Saruman definitely becomes better. You get the Wildman Oathmaker, who is he's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
He gets 3 might, but obviously the best thing about him is he gives every Wildman Fearless, which is very, very nice.
I think reroll ones as well, I think.
I don't know. I'd have to check.
I think that's all that.
It's just the fact that this is much more of a spammy list, and I think you could.
Yeah.
I think the reason why I've put this one higher is because you can play it at more points values because of how cheap the rest of the troops are.
It is flexible.
I think this one's much more flexible. And you get Crabane, which, as we know, one of the best models in the game.
Mega lit. But I just, as it is more flexible. You can do more with it and more points values. I guess I'm just like, the peak of this list, I feel, is still worse than the peak of the other list. Like the peak of this list,
yeah, probably.
You're getting a lot of models, which is good. Like you have access to the dominant 2, but all of those models. I mean, like, how many of the Uruk-hai scouts are you taking? Are you going to take a fair amount of them for fight 4? Because if you're not, then you're a low defense fight 3.
No. So personally, I think you take Uruk-hai scouts with a shield. That's your front rank.
So you take that front rank everywhere, do you think? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Then you probably chuck in a few of the Wild Men of Dunlin with flaming brands. And as you said, they do get to reroll ones, but the main thing is they're fearless. And you run around with the Oathmaker. You grab any objective that you want because the Wild Men aren't running away and they've got flaming brands. So that's totally epic.
I guess
and then you probably take an Isengard Orc Warrior backline and just sort of fight it out that way.
I guess maybe if you are Uruk-hai Scout frontline, and what they're D5, aren't they? Frontline. Is that
with a shield, D5.
Yeah, you might not be as spammy then, because obviously it's 9 points per model on your front line. Obviously, if you're going to spam with the Orcs and say the Wildman, you're going to get those numbers up a lot more. But obviously, that front line of 9 points, maybe it's not as spammy, but you do get the fight 4. So it's got some options. It's a lot more flexible, like you say. So
I think it was more the fact that the special rules that Saruman gets.
They are very, very nice.
Yeah, they're just very, very powerful. And I think if you were to use them effectively, then you can have a much better chance of winning a game than.
And there's not only those 3 casting rules, you've also got the line of sight from the Crabane, and he's also +1 coach to friendly models. So that, Mega Saruman in this list is the headline there.
Mega Saruman in this list. Yeah, that's true.
So, okay.
And you still get all the epic bonuses of Grima. So let's go Grima.
Of course, yes. So I think that's going to do it for the 2 Saruman lists we have looked at here with the Army of the White Hand. So we're going to move into another one of Mr. Ashley Walker's top 5 list here. Not one of mine. So Mr. Walker will be making his case for the Harad list. So the few headlines I had here. So there's the couple, first of all, to do with the Mummuks. So the Mummuks have Harbinger 12 inches, as it is now in the rules, which they had previously in the Grand Army of the South list. Mummuks also get a free heroic combat once per game now. And I believe there was some sort of rule to do with a free heroic in the Grand Army of the South as well, but it wasn't just they get a free heroic combat, but there was something kind of similar there, I think. So a couple nice buffs there for the Mummoks. And then also all models with poison bows also get poison on all of their weapons, which is nice. Rerolling ones everywhere. And you also have 50% bows as well, which obviously the list has as well. So why is this one in your top 5, Ash? What are you thinking here?
So I mean, it's standard Harad from last edition. You get the 50% bows, you get poison. Point one, this had to be in my top 5 because Suladan will be in this list, moving in from the Armies of Middle-earth. But I think the real point of why this list is so good is because war beasts have become better. The Mummock War Leader is already awesome. The guy getting fight 6 now is pretty good. I think. Do you want to run through the sort of changes to war beasts?
We can, yeah. If you have if you know the key ones to sort of summarize for viewers.
How can I summarize the key ones? I don't have a list on me. Basically,
we don't have time to go through literally every change, but yeah.
I'll have to find it. I think the top takeaway from the Harad list is that the Mummock, each hero that is commanding a Mummock once per game can declare a heroic combat for free.
Yeah.
This is obviously quite important because they're not allowed to call heroic combats normally. Because obviously the trample from that is fantastic. Yeah. So this just like significantly buffs the Mummocks. And I think just the war beasts in general have become way more lemon. I'd have to find it because there are some really quite interesting changes.
Yeah, are we going to be seeing Jack Walger's Mummock make an appearance?
Well, we actually have 3 Mummocks here, so we could run all 3 of them at the same time.
Why have we never seen a Mummock in a bat rep? God, we're doing things wrong.
They weren't very good previously.
Yeah.
So here we go. This is some of the changes. A Mummock can now continue moving and activate if it's been charged by models that are less than its strength value. So, for example, the Royal War Mummock is strength 10. So you have to charge in 4 guys in order to stop him from moving. Or
because the total of their strength is...
Because it's the total of their strength.
Sure. So they're like holding the Mummock put, which, I mean, maybe they might not, but sure. I get the idea.
So you have to combine the strengths of the models that have charged it, and if that adds up to more than the Mummock,
and it stands still,
then it can't move.
Yeah.
Which means that, especially as it's got Harbinger as well, so charging it is difficult in the first place. If you're relying on 4 models to charge it, unless it's stampeding, that's pretty massive.
Yeah.
I just think, they get more. You get more from your war beasts now than you used to. They've had a few little nerfs as well. Like if they're stampeding and they run into terrain, they now take. They might have previously taken the 3 strength 8 hits as well.
Yeah, like into buildings.
I think it was clarified.
Yeah.
In these new rules.
Yeah.
So that's basically the biggest main change, is that they can still move if they've only been charged by 1 guy.
Which is nice.
Which is very good.
Yeah, you can't just tag off a Mummock with a goblin warrior, and now it's just that they're doing nothing.
No, like imagine you're playing Goblin Town, you need 4 of those goblins to tag the Mummock. That's not happening.
No.
So yeah, I just think it's very good, and obviously the Royal War Mummock still gets its really beast 4+ cancel heroic move, 12-inch stand fast. The guy has strike, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah, and obviously heroes like Suladan potentially being added in.
Are going to be in this one. Hell yeah!
Can we see Ashley Walker using a Mummock in a GBHL 100 preview?
Potentially, potentially. The Mummocks also have dominant 10,
which is
so no longer is it like, oh, I'm on this objective. Oh no, I've got 10 points worth of objective now.
Yeah,
let's go.
Yeah, it's nice.
So yeah, I think the Mummocks are really going to be really strong this year, and even more difficult to deal with. There we go. That's the one little nerf it's had. They can no longer trample something on the board in like Maelstrom.
Oh yes, with the I do remember someone saying about that. Yeah, when they come on.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that's a little bit of a nerf, but that was always
Yeah.
cursed
That
to
was a
start
bit
with. So
odd that you can just play a list and like instantly lose
yeah.
essentially because you lost the board edge. Yeah. So
But yeah, I think that Harad's going to be super strong and still getting 50% bows, pretty good.
nice.
Wait
And
until that
obviously
6 inch banner comes in.
poison on everything as well.
Yeah, you get poison on everything.
And everything, which is nice to have. So um yeah, we'll be good to see more mummoks. Obviously, we're looking to see more monsters in this edition. So things like mummoks as well. Obviously, very unique, interesting profiles. There could be a new mummok model or something coming, new Harad stuff as well, with like everything that's in the film. There was mummoks.
Yeah, that was some of the speculation, wasn't it?
So yeah, it could potentially be some things coming in the future. But yeah, I think that'll do it for the Harad list. So we will move on to the Usurpers of Edoras, which made it into my top 5. So that is the new sort of list about the Dunland models, all of the nice new heroes and everything. So kind of the headlines for this one. So the list does have a pretty good selection of really affordable heroes, I think, which is like really nice to have. They're kind of like mid-ish kind of point heroes, which is good.
Do you know sort of all the stats of the new heroes?
Yeah. We'll run through, sort of the
You
buffs
know which ones are good and stuff.
and that sort of thing. Well, they all look pretty good, to be fair. The new ones in that list do look good. So there's a 6+ Feel No Pain for the Hill Tribesmen as well in the list, which is really, really good. Dunlop models gain a +1 to wound on enemy heroes. So all Dunlop models +1 to wound on heroes is nice. And then, as well as the Army of the White Hand list, you have access to the dominant 2 troops through the Wild Men of Dunland with the flaming brands. So,
Nice.
so probably, I guess, just starting off with the heroes. So, you're essentially going to be a cheap fight for horde with one of the heroes to start with, who is Frecker. So Frecker has to be your leader, who is sort of like mini
No, it
Dragon
doesn't
Emperor.
have to. It says if your army includes him, he must be your general, but you don't have to
Sorry, I
include
read
him.
that as sure.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, that's okay.
Sorry, if he's there, sure. But I think with the list to get the fight for, you have to take Frecker. So I think he is. You're probably going to take him for 80 points. He's 3 might.
Yeah, I think so.
So you take Frecker. He's sort of like mini Dragon Emperor. He gives the +1 fight. And then I'm just finding his profile here. Has he got another? He's got another buffing rule.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's quite as like he's got a banner rule here as a claim to the throne. If the enemy general is removed as a casualty, whilst within 6 inches of Frecker, then for the duration of the battle, friendly Dunlop models treat him as a.
I mean, he has a +1
inches.
fight within 6 and a 6-inch banner. I mean, it's obviously not as good.
Well, I mean,
he's a fraction of the cost.
I wouldn't say he has a 6-inch banner. Like, how often are you gonna kill the enemy general within 6 inches of this guy?
But the 6-inch +1 fight is good.
The +1 fight is probably the big thing you're going for here.
Yeah, like 3 might, fight 5, and he's a 6-inch +1 fight. It turns all your super cheap troops into fight 4, which is
that's kind of what you want. I think
obviously super nice to have. And then as well, the other 2 heroes, so General Targ and Lord Thorn. So they're sort of nothing to like slouch at. Like the only thing, like General Targ is 100 points on horse for a 2 attack model is a big investment. He's not really going to be doing any killing. He's only 2 might, but like he's your marcher. He has defense, which is nice. He has Master of Battle, so he's sort of going to sit there like he's general. Trash, so it sort of makes sense, but like he isn't really going to be killing anything, which is a bit and he has a rule as well, so while he's alive on the battlefield, if you win priority and you give it to your opponent, friendly Dunlop models within 6 inches reroll 1s, so it's okay, but you're giving away priority. That's probably not going to make too much difference, but like he's fight 5, like maybe you don't mount him, and for 80 points you get a Master of Battle fight 5.
I think that's actually a very good shout.
There's now a lot more. We've been talking about this a lot in the good list video that we did. There's just a lot more of these heroes now that you're like, well, I save 20 points, I get 4 extra guys if they're done the models.
Yeah.
And you don't mount him. Like
this guy, I don't think you mount this guy.
Yeah. So but he's okay for 80 points. And then like Lord Thorn, so he's 5/5, 2 attacks, he's on foot, but he's 70 points 2 might as well. So he's not bad. He can take the traitors in his warband, and he has a special that during the fight phase, Rohan traitors within 6 inches get +1 to fight. So you'll fight for everywhere with the Rohan traitors as well. Obviously, you can get the spears in there with those guys as well. So they're essentially just like Rohan. I think the profiles are exactly the same.
Yeah, I think so.
But they have hatred Rohan, and you can get these ones to fight for, obviously with Lord Thorn. So that's nice. So you've got Crebain as well. Like I think the heroes are all decent, and obviously you can take Wolf as well. So obviously at higher points, you probably can't go higher than like 650, 700, something like that, because the other heroes are sort of fairly cheap, and the troops are cheap as well. But like Wolf also doesn't have to be your leader if you take Frecker. And you can.
So Wolf is actually good. Wolf is actually good. I think looking at this, I don't think I'd take Wrecker. I think I'd probably have. I remember Sam telling me that this is kind of like the new Army of Lake Town, like spam list. I think if you take,
you're taking like surely he's like top 2 in the here.
Yeah, Lord Thorn, and then you take like. Because you kind of want the Rohan traitors.
Yeah, for the spears.
And then you can. The trouble is, the Hill tribesmen are only D3.
Yeah. I just think that's why, like, getting Fight 4 in there, like, surely he is pretty high up the list in heroes you're taking in.
Because Lord Thorn allows the Rohan traitors to become Fight 4.
Oh, sure. So you can get the
that's
fight.
Kind of where I was thinking.
Sure. Okay. No, that's
fair.
The
fight that way.
That's fair.
But
so then if you take Lord Thorn and General Targ, then who's like your third hero? Like, are you taking Wolf? Because they're more to your leader.
I mean, I guess
want to be that big. I mean, he's fight 6. Right. He's 2 fate, but like it is a fair shout that you can get the Fight 4 at the back with Lord Thorn. But compared to General Targ, where you're happy for him to sit back there with the Master of Battle, Lord Thorn, you would probably want trying to do some killing. So then he's also sat back there giving the Fight 4 to the troops.
Yeah, I think you can have Lord Thorn doing some more killing. In the line.
Yeah.
I guess obviously the benefit of Frecker is that he gets Hero of Valor, so he can have 15 troops.
Yeah, and obviously for a small spammy list.
You get the whipped into frenzy epic 6+ wound save, which is such a terrible rule because these guys are only D3.
Yeah.
So if you try to roll in that dice a lot, more than likely going to take 2 wounds, and you've now gone from I'm going to save 1 in 6 guys to I'm not going to save absolutely no one.
Or do you just not go Rohan spears? Do you just go, this is a swarm of hill tribesmen, everything's dominant 2, have fun with my 45 model list, and just
at Fight 4 that if you want to win
at Fight 4.
I think you just get personally I'm not sure about how good this list is. I'm not sold on it, but
Ash is not overly keen here.
Yeah, happy to be convinced otherwise in the comments.
I think we are going to see this list. There has been a lot of talks about this one at Into the West. I think we are going to see this one podium Into the West.
Wow. That's a hard call. I'm going to have to tabletop Admiral it after the pod now. So
this could come out after Into the West. I'm not sure though.
Oh, okay.
We will see whether they podiumed or not. So let us know in the comments if that was a bad take or not. But I just going to see a podium.
I can't get over the D3.
Yeah, it's tough.
I can't get over the D3.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on.
Snuck in for me, yeah. So Usurpers of Edoras. So let's move on to Minas Morgul, which is the first list here, which is on both of our top 5s here. So this one is looking very, very good indeed. The sort of new 2025 Angmar sort of list, but with some nice changes. So Minas Morgul. So the first kind of key thing here. So you get the Blades of the Dead special rule on your orc captains and orc warriors. That's pretty nice. You get fearless orcs within 3 inches of a spirit model when they are trying to charge terror. So no longer, my orcs are courage 2, I cannot charge. You're fearless within 3 inches when charging terror. So that's super nice. Obviously, maybe less terror around, but that's still nice to have. I thought another quite key thing here is that you can take a drummer in this list. So you're going to have
Yeah.
Angmar, quote unquote, moving very, very fast, affects everything. Everything's orcs. So you can move pretty fast. And if you are going sort of lots of orcs in this list, it's probably going to be pretty spammy potentially as well.
Spectres.
So, and then you do also.
No, they don't.
Yeah, of course. Sorry, the specters, are spirits. Yeah, sure, you're right. But then also, you do get access to specters and also Morannons, which I wanted to know. So obviously, specters are, as we know, specters are nice, but it's now on intelligence, isn't it? The role now that you have to make. And also having access to Morannons as well means you do potentially have access to fight 4, which is nice. But it's a bit of a talking point because obviously they don't get the Blades of the Dead rule. But they do give you D6. So, like, is there an argument you go some Morannons potentially at the front at D6 that could go up to fight 4?
Yeah, well, they're strength 4 anyway. Like, I think you personally run this. You want D6 in the front. For me, you take.
And then you go backline Blades of the Dead spears.
Yeah, backline Blades of the Dead. The point I was just questioning earlier, Elliot, is whether or not the drummer affects the specters, and they don't, because in the drum it says Mordor or. However, back onto my Mordor troll with War Drum, as that affects Mordor keyword, that would affect the specters. But I think this list is really, really good fun and really strong. I mean, the Morannons have had a buff. Blades of the Dead is fantastic. Having the orcs pass courage test. I mean, okay, it would be way, way better if they pass courage test full stop, but they just pass courage tests for charging Modern of Terror. But that's really, really good.
Who knows? We haven't seen Black Nuns yet, so who knows? Maybe they're still going to be ridiculously OP and we're going to see loads of Black Nuns.
Oh, fingers crossed, ladies and gentlemen. Fingers crossed. I think my pitch here is that to say the Witch King's still good. I mean, I know everyone's been dunking on him because of, obviously he's been made not the most overpowered model in the game, which he definitely was. But I think the way you can run him in Minas Morgul kind of represents some of that flexibility of last time, because if you think about how, like I would run the Witch King last edition, you'd have 3 might, probably 13 will, 2 fate. He was at like 155 points on a horse. Whereas now he gets the 3 attacks anyway. You don't have to take the crown. He has to take 18 will, which means that you still kind of have the same amount of will points as if you had the crown, because rather than just chucking 1 and re-rolling, you just chuck 2. And because you got 18 will in the first place, you're fine. Sure, the horse being 20 points is obviously slightly more expensive.
Give him a 2-handed weapon, though. Come on.
You could give him a 2-handed weapon. I mean, again, he goes up to fight 6. That's pretty fun.
That's nice.
And you can take him on a Fell Beast, which gives him dominant 3. That's kind of good.
Nice.
I think the Witch King's still very good. And in this list, he is obviously you must take him. He is the army general. I think personally I'd run him. The fact that now a horse is 20 points and a Fell Beast is only 30 more points is making me think I'd much rather take him on a Fell Beast as monsters have gotten better.
And I just wonder, like, with the heroes in this list, like, are you taking triple Wraith, like, with a drum? I just, like, and like, I just wonder.
I think taking those 90-point Wraiths on foot is still a very good way to do it.
10 will. Obviously, only 1 might is not great. And you're not saying, like, let's say you take the.
You have 2 attacks now.
let's say you take the Witch King and like 2 Wraiths, you're 5 might. Obviously, Angmar before didn't really mind being low might because you had the terror, but now you don't have the terror. So, like, you're maybe wanting to call moves a little bit more and you don't have as much might to do that.
Well, you can still take a Mordor captain.
45
points.
So I guess,
I really don't think. I don't think you do. I don't think you take triple Wraith or even double Wraith. Really, you think you probably take the Witch King, give him a Fell Beast, take a couple of captains, take a whole bunch of specters, Moran front line, Mordor back line, and see how that goes. But yeah, I think this list is really fun. Um, just again, only being fight three, potentially fight four. I don't think that could not be good enough.
In the right matchups, which there could be a fair amount of those around, like we said, could work really nicely. D6, fight four, Blades of the Dead, backline, and your strength four at the front. That sounds really on paper, but you can get a matchup where you don't get some of those things, and then it's fight three horde, you know.
Yeah, the fight three is obviously really going to be where this comes unstuck. But what can you do?
Yeah, this one could be super strong.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we will see. Will we see Ashley Walker running this with the new Witch King in 2025? I'm sure we'll find out.
Yeah, I can see myself running this. This sounds quite fun. I mean, there's a cheeky combo of use that new spell from the Witch King. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. Maybe not. No, pass on that. I thought he had the
Enchanted Blades now, but
no, I thought he had the Fog of Disarray spell, but he doesn't. I was going to say you could combo that with the Spectres, but you can't because he doesn't have it.
He doesn't have it.
Pass on that.
He's making things up, folks. So let's leave it there for Minas Morgul. Looks really good for sure.
But yeah, will be good fun.
And we will move on to the Assault upon Helm's Deep, another one of Ashley Walker's lists in his top five here. So just starting off with the headlines for this one, some familiar things here. So, but a change to start with. So similar to the other Isengard list is that it now breaks 66% when it used to be the courage tests that were taken at 66%. So that's a really nice buff. The general increases their attacks and wounds to 3, same as it did before. So the Uruk-hai captain that's your leader gets those buffs. It was like that in the previous list as well. You have the improvements to the ballistas and the bombs as well. There's no like new improvements, but there are improvements compared to how they are just in the profiles. So to the scatter and then the detonation on the bombs. And then one other thing as well, sort of like as to why potentially this is sort of in Ash's top 5, which we'll hear from him on, is that obviously there's now sort of probably going to be less blinding light around with like Círdan, and sort of it seems like there could just be less of it overall. And obviously that then makes your shooting better. And obviously Assault has crazy shooting, as Ash knows, having played Jay 1,000 times in 100s. So that is obviously very good news for Assault upon Helm's Deep players. So what do you think about this one, Ash?
Yeah, so the reason this one's in my top 5, again, Assault on Helm's Deep is fantastic. It's very similar to last edition. It gets better because you don't break until 66%. But you basically do the same thing as last time. You spam crossbows, you spam ballistas, you have a bomb. The thing you can now also get is a couple of berserkers, because now they're actually worth it in fight 5.
Yep.
The ballistas have gotten slightly worse because now they have to fire in a 45-degree arc.
Mm-hmm.
You can move that arc, you can pivot the ballistas now, but that gives them a -1 penalty to hit. So they usually hit on 4s. They're now hitting on 5s, so they have to pivot.
Yeah.
The other slight nerf to the ballista is that their minimum range is now 12 inches instead of 6.
6, yeah. Which was the FAQ that came in, wasn't it?
Yeah. They still get the piercing shot. A model that's hit with a shot of a ballista will be flung directly backwards D6 inches. Taking a strength 5 hit over all the models that it's gone over.
Yeah.
It's still really good. Really good.
It's still super strong. And I mean, I guess from the previous edition, obviously we saw Assault be really good. It was sort of nerfed, and then lots of those Assault on Helm's Deep players started playing pure Isengard with sort of alerts and things like that. Like Jay, we've seen lots of his lists as that was just deemed to be kind of better. You could still take the crossbows, and you just take like Vrasku and like 1 ballista. Where obviously now that's not an option, but that doesn't mean that this sort of list is bad. So it's just those players can't take pure Isengard with say alerts, like I just said. Then this is now what that list is, and that is still strong. So those players,
I think a list. This used to struggle against the Shadow Lord, Círdan, Galadriel, Gandalf. now the Shadow Lord no longer exists.
Yeah,
Círdan doesn't have blinding light anymore. Um, so this is going to have more fun shooting
shooting.
armies without blinding light. And if you
Yeah.
have to get shot by this list, you most likely will lose. It it gets the rerolls to hit and scatter of ones on the ballista, which is very very good still.
Isengard was still winning 100s after that change to the,
Yeah,
so
and the bomb rolling 2 dice instead of one. Yeah, I think this is still really, really, really strong and will be probably one of the
yeah.
best lists going forward, unless in Armies of Middle-earth there are some
There's some
substantial blinding light
changes.
that comes to pass.
Yeah, coming in. But I mean, those people that thought we'd seen the end of Assault upon Helm's Deep following the FAQ, that was the first ever emergency
Guys, it's too
podcast.
themey. We can't get rid of it.
Yeah,
It's too themey.
it was the first ever emergency podcast I think that James and I did when Assault was nerfed, ever, like almost 2 years ago at this point. But no, not the end of Assault upon Helm's Deep. It returns to the GBHL, and the wider SVG community. So that's going to do it for Ash's top 5 pick of Assault upon Helm's Deep. And then I believe we have the final pick here of the episode.
Wow.
We have Ugluk's Scouts, which
Okay.
is in my top 5, but not in Ash's. So this one, I think, it looks really, really good. It was good in the last edition, and it's seen some buffs and not really any sort of negative changes, really. So you have Move 8 and Woodland Creature Urukai.
Nice.
Perform, so that's nice. You have the Animosity +1 to wound bonus still with the Orcs and the Urukais. When you have those in combat with each other, they get the +1. That's super nice. Ugluk has some improved rules, which we'll touch on in just a moment. But Ugluk looks really, really nice. He's seen some improvements this edition for sure, just to his natural profile. And then there's also another rule relating to Ugluk, which is specific to this list. And it's that once per game, Ugluk can move into base contact with an objective marker, and then friendly models within range of that marker gain dominant 2. So it's not just within 3 inches of it. It's just, let's say it's whole ground. Obviously, that's not a marker. But if it's a 3-inch range of an objective marker in, say, breakthrough, markers, models in range of that marker will gain dominant 2. So within 3 in that case. So Ugluk Scouts. So obviously it's a pretty sort of flexible list. Like it works at sort of some different points levels. It did in the previous edition as well. So it's still kind of kept the things about it that were good. The Animosity is obviously really strong with +1 to wound. It's got the 5/4. It's got some fast moving pieces as well. Obviously Ugluk now has that unique rule, but he's also got, like I was saying, some unique new rules to his profile. So the stat line is exactly the same as the previous Ugluk. He still has March and Strike, but he has a couple of rules which I'll just run through quickly. So he's got the Head Taker. So should Ugluk's army be broken at the start of his activation, instead of taking his courage test, Ugluk can choose to kill a friendly warrior model within 2 inches of him. You remove that model as a casualty. If he does, then Ugluk will automatically pass his courage test and his standfast increase to 12 inches and affects heroes and warriors. So that's nice for when you break. Then he's got another rule as well, which is at the start of his activation, Ugluk can kill a friendly orc warrior within 2 inches of him, remove the kill model. If Ugluk does this, then all friendly Urukai models within 6 inches of him gain fearless and +1 to wound until the end of the turn. And if he does this in a turn where his army's been broken, then it will also count as triggering that previous rule as well. So essentially, there's a situation where if you're broken and you kill this warrior model, then your Urukai are fearless, +1 to wound, and Ugluk's standfast is increased to 12 inches and affects heroes and warriors. And all you have to do is kill an orc. So there's some nice stacking sort of buffing rules like fearless +1 to wound. And his standfast obviously going to 12 inches affecting heroes. Obviously, bear in mind, he's a 75-point model. So those are some pretty nice buffs there.
Surely you do that every single turn.
Yeah.
Every single turn you kill that orc.
You kill someone.
You become fearless. You gain +1 to wound. All for the price. All for the low price, ladies and gentlemen, of 6 points.
So you're
every time
now,
you can do that.
I haven't actually thought of this, but does that stack with Animosity? Surely it does. I don't know why it wouldn't. Does it say in the rulebook that they can't stack? Yeah, like +1 to wound effects or anything? It's like,
Not that I have
animosity.
read.
Animosity is just that when you're in combat with the two, differing sides, they get +1 to wound. A
Yeah, I
bonus
don't
of
think
plus
so.
one
That's
wound.
let us know, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
below. There's personally, I think that's correct. They
I
would
don't know why you
stack.
can't. Yeah.
Um,
It's like the Keeper of the Dungeons, his effects that happened on ring bearers and stuff like previously with his +1 to wound. So like he could auto wound Galadriel, like that was a thing,
yeah,
just because it would keep on stacking. So yeah, so you kill a dude and suddenly Ugluk is doing a hell of a lot for your army. Obviously, he is 2 wounds, 1 fate, so like he's still potentially equally, and he's D5, so potentially is he could be taken out, say by the end of the game. Potentially, like you've got to be careful with him, especially now that he can give all these buffs, and he's your leader. But like if you keep him safe, you've got some serious buffs to your fight for army, which is pretty
yeah.
nice.
I think that's a really really nice rule. Yeah, I can see why this is in your top five. I mean, I think I just kind of skipped over it because it was similar to last time.
It
But
does look
yeah,
pretty samey on the surface. Yeah.
well, one of the things I never used to be worried about playing Ugluk Scouts because Black New and Orange would be like, haha, I'm terrifying, you can't charge me.
Yeah,
But
lol.
now that fearless special rule is just
Yeah,
fantastic.
those
Like
orcs.
that
Yeah,
there has made Ugluk Scouts like, twice as good.
yeah,
Um yeah, really, really good.
yeah, and some fast moving models. The 8-inch move, and like it should be pretty flexible on points as well. Even
Yeah,
sort of like 650, like getting a little bit higher, it should still be pretty good and hold up. I think.
agreed. I'm
And
just
then yeah,
looking
you've
at
got some other
Grishnak.
heroes as well. You've got
And
like Grishnak, Snagger, who've seen some sort of different rules. They still don't look great. I think they're both 2
yeah,
now.
Grishnak's kind of taken an L, hasn't he? No longer
Yeah.
3 might. Oh, he swapped a might point for a will point. Yippee!
Yeah. Yeah, they're both 2
Um,
might. And obviously there's the changes to the drum as well, which obviously affect this. Also, the drum not stacking with the march now.
no, it doesn't.
So you're not moving 12-inch with your scouts or whatever the hell it was. So you can't sort of do that.
But you could do, couldn't
No,
you?
sorry, was
Eight
it
plus
was more
three plus. So you could go 14 inches
was yeah,
back
yeah.
in the good old days.
No, that's
That
why you're
was
moving
yeah.
11.
Yeah, just the basic 11.
If you drum.
Um,
Yeah, sure.
I think the trick with this list is managing the Orcs and Uruk-hai together because obviously you get the +1 to wound when they
Yeah.
are fighting together, but the Uruk-hai scouts move 8 and the Uruk-hai drummer only affects Uruk-hai. So
Yeah.
you potentially got, half your army moving 11 inches,
Yeah.
half your army moving 6.
Yeah.
But
It's also having the flexibility to like, move models off to objectives. Obviously, the
oh
Euro guy
yeah,
you're
yeah,
looking to
yeah,
move off, obviously with the movement is really good. We've seen our like scouts win 100s before. I think multiple 100s
yeah. And
at some
and
point.
Ugluk's new rules that you just read out have made it even better.
I think it's kind of just
Um,
better. Like, has it got worse in any aspect? Like, I'm not sure it's really got
well,
worse.
it's got obviously Grishnak's not as good. You can't take
Yeah.
Malher anymore,
But the
and
other
he
heroes,
used to
that's what I was just
be
going to say, was Malher in it. Okay.
Malher was in it, and he obviously was
Sure.
really good. 3
He
attacks, all
was
that
good.
sort of good
Yeah, yeah.
stuff.
So,
Uruk-hai bows being I still think they're strength 3, and then obviously with the drum you can move the bowman
yeah.
5.5 inches and shoot. So you still
Yeah,
got some shooting power as well.
yeah. So pretty flexible list, some good buffs. So I think this is one we should see you do pretty well. That is going to close us out. So those are the lists that we think are going to be the best in the new Lord of the Rings book, the evil side. What are your favorite lists? What do you think is going to be good? Let us know in the comments.
Why as well?
Yeah,
Why is it
why,
going to be
what,
good?
where,
I need to
when?
know.
What do you guys think? Let us know. But I think that is going to close us out. So thank you very much, everyone, for watching another episode of the Columns Gamers podcast.